a nightmare scenario. That's exactly what it is. So they limit suffrage.
That was back when half the population was uneducated.
Real quick, that's what I wanted to ask you.
Oh, but women had the most amount of education in those populations.
False.
Women have always done, since public schooling began, better inside of domestic testing and have had better grades than men always have. Not only that, but the feminists of the world, of the world that you're talking about flew all around the world, were highly educated, hung out with aristocrats, wrote books, they got published all over the fucking place. These were not oppressed women. It's bullshit.
Okay, but why was your question?
Thank you. Why is it okay? So aside everything that we've been, listening to for the last 30 minutes, which is like reactionary, why, if men believe this, why are they not then reinforcing this into their house? Because, like she said,
belief is the key.
Yeah, but men in their own houses, why are they being cucks to the feminist ideology and not controlling their own house?
Saying something is true versus something
No, that's not even what I'm talking about. I'm saying, why are men not defending their own beliefs in their own home?
That's a descriptive claim of is.
Why are they not enforcing?
Is that a descriptive claim of is, or is it an ought claim?
No, I'm saying, why are men not being accountable in their own houses and leading their women and children to the best way that they see fit?
So I can try to explain it to you. That is an is claim. When you say, why aren't men doing X, you're talking about what is happening currently.
You ought to tell your wife not to vote.
Still trying. She doesn't. I vote. And she votes how I tell her to double my vote. Now, back to this. What you're asking, that is an is claim, right? It's a descriptive truth of what's happening right now, right?
Men are not enforcing what they believe in their house. Yes.
Right. Okay. So that is a descriptive claim. It's not an ought claim of what should happen.
Well, they should be enforcing their ideology in their home.
Just because you can have a society which can be brainwashed and they can do all sorts of things like, I don't know, have a social contagion like the LGBTQ, where Gen Z says now that 1 in 4 of them identify as homosexual, right? You can claim that that's a social contagion. Populations can be bamboozled. They are all the time. But if you look at patriarchal. Okay. If you talk about patriarchal nations, though, I can point nation after nation after nation after nation who literally says to women, no rights.
Well, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying that the men who are leaders.
That's not what I want to do.
It's what you just argued for.
No, that's not even what I'm talking about. I'm saying that the men within their own homes are supposed to.
Do you think that women in this nation were oppressed until they had the right to vote a few years ago? Seriously? Is that what you think? You think our founders oppressed women on purpose? They just wanted to oppress them all? Tell me.
What does that have to do with the men taking accountability?
Is that what you think?
Not having a say in the government is kind of...
They were just oppressing women, our founders?
Men share power. There is no balanced power. There is no power dynamic. There are no boss babes.
No.
Please revolt. I double dog dare you. The patriarchy stands ready to teach you the wages of arrogance.
Yeah, so anyway, you think that our founders and you think America was inherently sexist towards women. I just want to hear you say that on record because we didn't let them vote.
The men actually did vote to allow women to vote. So
okay, but
I can't say that
recent.
the men didn't allow them to vote.
That was recent. Most of American history, that is not the case, correct?
Well, there was a long period of time where women did not have the right to vote.
Right.
And they didn't have the right to own property.
But you used to need to go to war to
most
vote.
Men also did not have the right to vote.
By the way, actually, one of the reasons why some of the Christian churches actually engaged in polygamy, which I'm not endorsing polygamy, but one of the reasons was because when a woman's husband died in war or any illness, anything, they didn't have the right to own the property. So what they would do was that's why they would
women always had the right to own property.
No.
Especially their husbands. Yes, they did. That's a feminist talking
point. They would
point.
marry
they always
in
did.
order to retain the property.
In fact, the opposite is true. Men couldn't retain women's property.
Yeah.
Women could always retain their own property. How the fuck do you not know this stuff? This is basic anti-feminist rhetoric 101. Women could always own property in the United States. Where did you get the idea that they couldn't? Where did you ever get that idea?
Women's studies classes.
Yeah, no shit.
I didn't take women's studies
Well, where did you get the idea they couldn't own property?
That's literally, I've read about it in history that women didn't
Where
have
did
the
you
right
read
to
this? In
own
neverhappened.com? Where the fuck, where was this at? That you read about women not being able to own property.
Women always had the right to own property.
Yes, women could always own property. Where almost everywhere in the world, women could own property. That's not tied to voting necessarily.
A lot of women
Actually, originally voting was tied to property.
They owned a lot.
Voting was tied to properties that were owned by men. Not properties that were owned.
No, voting was tied to whether or not you had a right to vote.
Men had the right to vote. Women did not have the right to vote. Suffrage was limited. Suffrage was limited on purpose. Our founders knew exactly what they were doing. They did not want pure democracy. They knew exactly what it was. A nightmare scenario. That's exactly what it is. So they limit suffrage.
That was back when half the population was uneducated.
Real quick, that's what I wanted to ask you.
Oh, but women had the most amount of education in those populations.
False.
Women have always done, since public schooling began, better inside of domestic testing and have had better grades than men always have. Not only that, but the feminists of the world that you're talking about flew all around the world, were highly educated, hung out with aristocrats, wrote books, they got published all over the fucking place. These were not oppressed women. It's bullshit.
Okay, but why are we still ignoring the fact that men are obligated as the leader and the head of the home to control their own house?
Can I answer your question, and then can I also ask you a question?
Yeah, I want to understand why we're not focusing on the root, which is men being responsible in their own house. And why are you cucking to your wife's feminist ideology?
I noticed
Is it men's fault, Andrew?
No.
Okay. men control themselves.
I was just going to say that I've noticed in some of the dynamics in relationships in people I know, men kind of just say it's easier, they prefer peace, so they would rather not.
They cuck in the moment and think that they suffer their family long term for the instant gratification. That's what's happening.
What I observe is that they would basically say, kind of subscribe to the idea happy wife, happy life.
In the moment, but then long term everyone suffers. They're calculating the destruction of their own family by their own personal
I'll tell you why
good
this
feelings
happened.
in that moment.
Because women have been so
this happened because Bolshevik communists came in and they
what about
went
the men
into
in society
institutions
who decided to stay true to their convictions and their pride as a man.
Listen. You can have what's called demoralization of a society. This is part of a communist progression. For most places that they infiltrate. This happened right here in the United States. It's happening in Canada. It's happening all over the West. And what happened was there was an infiltration of Bolsheviks who got a hold of the institutions, and they have been slowly demoralizing the public. There's no doubt that this is true. You laugh and scoff, but it's true.
You should read Anthony.
That's probably why you're a socialist.
Red Scare, yeah, I know.
I bet you're a socialist, huh?
Mao Zedong is my grandpa.
Are you a socialist?
But what's the difference between...
Answer my question. Are you a socialist?
No.
Okay, how do you define politically?
Prefer not to state.
Yeah, that's right.
How do you define
between the men who decide
far right wing? It's far on the fucking scale as you can
What's
get.
the difference between the men who decided not to cuck and the men who
There's too many
decided
questions here. I do actually. Hold on. Do you want to actually give an answer though? How do you consider? Are you capitalist? Are you?
She's a socialist. Come on, just say it. We already know it. The Red Scare, as you're about to say it.
I'm not super defined, but I'm a political science student. I'd say I'm on the left.
Yeah, you're a socialist.
I'm not a socialist.
Well, what are
I'm
you?
on the left.
What are you?
Do you believe in laissez-faire capitalism?
I know about laissez-faire capitalism.
Well,
I know John Locke.
Would you prefer a mixed market economy? Would you prefer that we
already have a mixed market economy?
So let's try it this way. Universal health care, yes or no?
Okay, you just want to roast me once I say yes.
No, I just want to ask you.
And I'm fine with the
Not even going to roast your question.
Yes.
Okay. You want expanded welfare benefits?
That one, it's a case-by-case basis. Depends on the benefit, depends where,
for
depends
minorities
how
specifically.
It's implemented. Whoa, chill. No, that's not. I would say it's very based on public policy is a very complicated thing, and I'd say yes. Generally, I'd like the cost of living to be lower and people to be able to afford to live.
Didn't you just earlier say that you wanted expanded social benefits for maternity leave?
I said that people would not have to abort as much if there was more.
So, are you for that
welfare.
or against that?
Wait, but hasn't the social welfare state
It's just like getting an answer
out of
it
this
has also increased?
I don't know. Show me the numbers. Okay, okay, fine, sure. Yeah, more welfare. Welfare, universal health care. Go ahead, roast me.
So when it comes... I'm not roasting you. I'm
that's
just telling
what you're
you
setting
that
up for. I know that's why you're so curious.
All of your idea... If you don't want to answer the question, you don't have to. Okay. I thought you wanted to engage in a debate.
I'd love to. Let's go for it.
Okay, so...
Why are we stuck with two ultra extremes?
They're not ultra extreme.
Yeah, these are ultra extremes.
I'm still trying to understand
Feminism
You're just a
and
milquetoast fence-sitting libertarianism.
No,
Milquetoast fence-sitter.
And feminism.
But you can
we
argue
don't
that
actually
both.
have anything in the middle.
You don't have to just argue
that has common sense that's balanced.
Hold on. We're going to allow Andrew and her to have a back and forth. Go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, but the milquetoast fence sitter wants to jump in, But
it's not milquetoast fence sitting.
It is. It's libertarian
common
milquetoast
sense.
feminism.
Okay, most people in America...
It's common sense in the 1970s when they were burning bras, maybe. But anyway, go ahead.
What do you mean, go ahead?
Well, I was asking about expanded social programs.
Yeah, we should have more expanded social programs.
Right,
Sure.
okay. What would you say distinguishes your ideology from that of somebody who identifies as being a socialist?
There are still capitalist things in place in society.
Socialists believe in mixed economies.
Okay, sure, I'm a socialist then.
Okay, so then when you said the Red Scare,
Yeah.
how many people do you think would identify themselves as socialists in the 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, 1980s?
There's a good amount. CPUSA was
No,
still
there was
active.
not a good amount.
CPUSA was still active before the
What do you
Red Scare.
define a good amount? Less than
The
almost no
Communist
percentage?
Party of the United States of
Yeah,
America?
very
How about
tiny.
you look it up?
Very
no,
tiny.
it had a substantial. It
Well,
was
it's
actually
substantial.
also involved with civil rights
Yeah,
organizations. at the time.
CPUSA, Communist Party USA, and people who identify as communists, very small threshold even to this day. How many people do you think there were in the 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s,
I'm saying
40s?
prior to the Red Scare, there were a lot more. But yes.
There were a lot more communists here?
Yeah.
Prior to the Red Scare?
There were a lot more people who identified as communists prior to the Red Scare.
Prove it.
I wish I could. I don't have anything in front of me, but yes.
And it was that
There
because
were.
Bolshevik communists were imported here after like things like Operation Paperclip and these various things where we brought them in, and then they went into academia, like I just said, and you scoffed at it?
Show me.
What does
Where's
that
the
have to
proof?
do-
Oh.
Here's the proof. Do you know what Operation Paperclip is?
Yeah, it's some sort of thing where they sent the Bolsheviks in to turn America's.
You don't know what it is?
To demoralize
So
the
just
American
say,
capitalist
I don't know
spirit.
what it is. Just say it.
It sounds familiar, but I don't know exactly.
Yeah, you don't know what it
is.
is. So just
What
I
does
would
that have
invite
to
you
do
read
with
the book
though, like
Anthony
the
sent.
men
He has
in?
a really good commentary on what happened and how the Wall Street actually funded the Bolsheviks.
big
But-
time.
And if you're a political science major,
I
I
can
would
fix her.
Again,
ask you to
what
talk
does
about
that
it.
have to do with men in their individualized homes, keeping their duty to God and themselves as men and making the best example in their home? If men decided, I'm not going to deal with feminists and completely stopped dealing with feminists, it would go away because women would realize that's no longer a part of the market. And if
Ultimately-
they wanted good men,
Yeah.
they would have to put aside those and pick up the godly
but ultimately,
perspective.
you have to understand you're dealing with two massive components. One, you can look at things like the MK Ultra program and you can see how successful brainwashing on a mass scale really is. Massively successful. You know it's true because all you have to do is look at the end of the table to see it. Okay, brainwashing,
You're brainwashed,
massively
Renee.
successful.
It's okay.
But
I'm
she
the
said
youngest
that
one
she's
here.
not a Christian.
She's
She
an
was raised in a
MK
house
Ultra
without a father.
victim.
Those are
Renee
the ones who are
is the
most
MK
vulnerable to this kind of stuff.
Not true.
But
I mean,
it's true.
kind of
If you have a
it's
good
true
father
that your
who
propensity to it
follows
is more.
God
but
and
what I'm-
sticks to his morals,
But what
you're
you
not gonna be
discover
the
is
same
this.
thing.
Here's what you discover.
All
you
I
look
know
at like
is
MK
that
Ultra, for instance.
this ideology here that you're
You mean the
espousing.
Alex Jones ideology?
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
This ideology
Talk to him about
here,
MK Ultra. You don't know what you're
this
talking about.
ideology here is
Okay.
is literally recruiting feminists.
Uh-huh,
it is
sure it is.
recruiting leftist liberal voters.
Yeah, let's get more women voting because otherwise women will
do
vote.
vote. That's the reality
Get
of the
more women voting
situation.
or
So
women
if
will
you
vote.
continue espousing these very radical belief sets that doesn't
Milk those
actually really
beliefs.
align with conservative Republican
it does.
beliefs. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, what's a
No, it
patriarchy in the
doesn't.
Christian ethic?
You are going to be turning out more women to go vote for some horrible candidate like Joe Biden.
Okay. If it's
Okay?
extreme,
that's what you're going to
why
be doing.
do you consider Catholicism extreme because it's a patriarchy? Do you consider Orthodoxy extreme because it's a patriarchy? And do you consider most denominational churches extreme because they operate under a patriarchy?
What you're pushing for
Answer
is
my
to undo.
fucking question without a question for once. Are they extreme because they are patriarchists?
No, they're not.
No.
That's religion.
Then I'm not saying anything extreme from a Christian standpoint. Next.
Where does it
back
say
over to
in
you.
Catholicism women don't have the right to vote, though?
The Catholic Church, literally, the doctrine was always that you could not have female clergy. That was the doctrine. Same thing with
Okay.
Orthodoxy, always.
Okay, so what we have separation of church and state, though. So when we're talking
Oh, you
about
secularist beliefs. Yay.
No.
Our founders would have loved that.
okay,
Can I
but
just
we don't
ask-
have we aren't like the Muslim countries where Sharia law, is dictated
has a
by
question.
religions.
Our original
Your God.
colonies, go ahead. Each one of our original colonies had a state religion. Are you aware that at the founding of the United States, all 13 of the colonies, which then became states, had a state religion? Are you aware of that? All of them had a state religion.
Okay.
Every single one of them. Where's this separation of church and state?
Okay, but you're talking about the colonies. You're not talking
No,
about the
after
United States
the United
of
States was
America.
ratified, every single state had a state religion.
Okay, well, why do we have it say separation of church and state?
We don't. That's a liberal progressive talking point.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is. Their secularism is stupid on its face.
That's why they don't allow religion in the schools.
Can I just
ask? And you're okay with that?
No, I'm not necessarily.
Well, I thought it was.
That,
We have
but
a
it's one of the
secular
reasons why they don't allow it.
Because of first of all, because the Supreme Court rules on a thing doesn't mean the thing ought to be true, one, and two, doesn't mean that was the intention of our founders. Our founders had no intention at all of this becoming a Muslim nation or anything absent a Christian nation ever.